رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائما قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين نحمده ونشكره ونستعينه ونستهديه ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى أهله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Amma ba'd. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the title of my khutbah today is Islam and Mental Health. Islam and Mental Health. This week, that is from Monday on the 13th up to the end of the week, 13th to 19th, every year, May 13th to 19th, is declared as Mental Health Week. In order to remind us that we need to look after our mental health and also to remember people around us who are faced with the challenges of mental health, to empathize with them, and also to remove the traditional stigma that is attached to people who have mental health. And as we know, Islam has a perspective on everything. So in order for us to be able to really appreciate the importance of thinking about this, we want to look at this from an Islamic point of view. In Islam, you find in the Quran, Allah recognizes not only the physical elements of the body that He has given us, but a lot of the time Allah talks about our mind. Therefore, the mind is recognized in Islam as a very important aspect of our being human. If you look in the Quran, a lot of the time when Allah is calling our attention to some of the great things that He has done for us, that we should give thanks to Him about, Allah will say, وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. Allah talks about the af'idah, the mind, a lot of the time. He says, we have given you sight, we have given you hearing, and the mind, so that you can give thanks to Allah. Sometimes He says, قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. You don't give thanks enough about these things. So the mind is really very, very important. And many, many scholars have actually written about it. Imam al-Ghazali, as you know him, he writes about a whole lot of things. He talks about the fact that, our connectedness with Allah is not only about our physical. That the mind, the afidah, the mind that Allah has given us is a very important one. This is what makes even our physical connection to Allah valid. Because of the fact that, that Allah has overlooked anybody who doesn't have mental capacity. Anybody who loses his mind, he has no responsibility before Allah. Allah will not take him to account for anything. So maintaining our mind is really, really, really very, very important. Therefore, similar to our physical health, a lot of the time we are very much worried about our physical health. We have pain in the knee, we have arthritis, we have headache, fever, flu. These are what we wonder about a lot of the time. But our mental health is also very, very, very important. Especially now, for different reasons. We live in the modern world. Even though we have been advanced in knowledge, we are so much advanced in science, yet you find out that the pressure around us makes the issue of mental health challenges very, very, very apparent. So many people are faced with it because we face so much with stress. The knowledge that Allah has granted us, we are pushed, we want everything to move fast. And because of that, it put a lot of stress on us. You all know it. We all work. You have email, you have WhatsApp, you have everything. I have somebody in my workplace, I have warned him. He will send me an email, then he will come and say, he will text me on WhatsApp, I've sent you an email, check and reply. I said, I mean, you have nowhere to hide. I mean, you want everything quick. So all this pressure, gives us, it affects our state of mind. So it's really very, very important for us to look after our mental health. And we know that we are weak. We are all very vulnerable. Allah says, خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Allah has created us weak. We are all vulnerable. Even though your mental state is stable now, don't underestimate it. We all have these mental health challenges. It is just a matter of degree. It's just a matter of degree. Some have it, you see it in their actions. Some have it, it is bottled in. And when something happens like this, as it triggers, sometimes it happens to every one of us. When you are really under stress, somebody do something small like this, very something small, and you become so much annoyed. After that, you think, why was I so annoyed with that small thing? It's a mental health issue. So it's really very, very important, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, for us to look at this. The problem is, we tend to stigmatize illness generally, especially mental health. When we see people who have mental health challenges, we stigmatize them. And in many of our communities and our societies, it has become a taboo that we cannot discuss easily. Yet, Allah tells us in the Quran, we read it all the time. If you look in Surah Al-Fatih, Allah says, don't put a blame on people who are sick, whether physical or mental. Allah tells us in Surah Al-Fatih, Quran chapter 48 verse 17, لَيْسَ عَلَى الْأَعْمَى حَرَجٌ وَلَا عَلَى الْأَعْرَجِ حَرَجٌ وَلَا عَلَى الْمَرِيضِ حَرَجٌ. Allah says there is no blame on the person who is blind, there's no blame on the person who is lame, and there's no blame on the person who is sick. Because you don't bring it onto yourself, you have no control over it. So if somebody has mental health or even physical illness, Allah says there's no blame on them. Don't stigmatize them. You have to empathize with them. Look at fasting. When Allah says, Man kana minkum marida, even if for fasting in Ramadan, when you are sick, Allah excuses you to show that, we don't need to stigmatize illness. We don't need to stigmatize mental health. So it's really very, very important for us to appreciate it. And the causes of it are many, as we shall see. We need to, in this week, we need to try as much as possible to reflect over it. Some of the causes are identified to be physiological. As I said, people may not have control over it at all. Medical science have indicated that sometimes it can be genetic. It runs through the family. There's nothing you can do about it. And this has been, even though modern medical health has recognized that, long before that, Muslim philosophers and scholars like Abu Bakr al-Razi had recognized the fact that mental health can have a physiological effect. That is, it can run through families. And you find that, in the history of Islam, that it is on record that some of the first psychiatric wards in hospitals were created in Baghdad around the 8th and 7th century. If you read about Abu Bakr al-Razi, some of the things, he identified the fact that, look, we don't need to stigmatize those who have mental situations because it could be physiological. Similarly, it could be external. It may not be internal, but external. Many things that happens around us, as we say, can cause mental health issues. For example, stress. Many of the things we go through in life, stress can bring us mental health issues. Maybe you're sad, something happens to you, grief. A whole lot of things can happen to a human being that can actually affect our mental health. And we should remember, it is not abnormal to feel stress. The important thing is that you have to know yourself. When you see that you are under stress, give yourself a break. If you look at the situation of the mind, the brain, we see the pictures of the brain in many biology illustrations. If you see the connectivity, it's like electrical wiring. And our electrical station, our electrical power is our brain that sends signal all over our blood, all over our body. It is similar to, these things that we have in our homes. That is electric connections. When you continue to plug things in, when everything is fine, it gives you light. But when you overload it, it will just blow up. When you overload the electric power, it starts getting hot. hot, hot. If you don't take anything out, it will blow up. That is exactly how the brain is. When there's stress, when it's good, yes, you can manage. But when you see that it is putting pressure on you, it is getting too hot, give yourself a break. If you don't give yourself a break, you will tip over. Similar to how electricity blows up when you overload it. So it's really very, very important. When we have stress, and there's no harm in it that, look, I have had enough. Many of us go through that temptation. You have so many things on your table. Your boss is on your neck. You want to get it done. You have sat there. Maybe you want to type one paragraph. You are doing a paragraph that normally in 5 minutes you get it done. 10 minutes, 30 minutes, you are still thinking. You cannot get the paragraph together. Your mind is not working. Give it up. Give it up and give yourself a break. And that means that you are empathizing with your own mental health. So stress, anxiety, these are, psychological elements of the mind which we should be aware of. And it happens, even in the prophets. If you look at the story of Sayyidina Yaqub alayhi salatu wassalam, when Sayyidina Yusuf was taken away from him, he turned away from his children. وَقَالَ يَا أَسَفَ عَلَى يُوسُف وَأَبْيَضَ عَيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْحُزْنِ. He turned and he was really, thinking seriously and said, oh, what is my grief about Yusuf? He was so much grief about it. And Allah says his eyeballs turned white out of Huzn. وَفَوَّ قَزِيمٌ. And he was very, very sad. And his children told him, قَالُوا تَاللَّهِ تَفْتَعُوا تَذْكُرُ يُوسُف حَتَّى تَكُونَ هَرَضًا. He said, the children tell me, Father, you have to be careful. If you continue like this, you will tip over, you will get over, then you will go crazy. So it's really, look at the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Quran tells us about even the Prophet. The Prophet was so much concerned about the Quraysh. When they were not following the injunctions of Allah, he was so worried about them. Allah warned him. Allah says, فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعُ نَفْسَكَ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ إِن لَمْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ أَسَفًا. Allah says, be careful. If you keep worrying about the fact that these people are not following, you will tip over. You will go beyond the limits. And it happens to many of us a lot of the time. We have so many worries, especially our children. Maybe you have your children in school, they are not doing well. We all want our children to do well. You want your children to become an engineer, a doctor. But he says, no, I want to do something else. You worry. And then it can really, if you do not really control it, it can affect your mental health. So it's really very, very important that we appreciate this. Some are within our own means. When you are overloaded, appreciate it and slow down. There are other causes like, for example, drugs. People take drugs. Some of them good drugs, that is prescriptive drugs, that you use for certain ailments in your body. But sometimes they can have effect on your mind. And usually your doctors will tell you that if you have side effects, see your doctor. Don't just bottle it in. And some use drugs, recreational drugs, illegal ones. It can also affect our mind. And the Quran prohibits that. Quran prohibits intoxicants, as we know. And this relates to also, recreational drugs that can affect our mind. Some others are similarly what we don't have control over, like age, even our age when we grow up. You know what Allah says? وَمِنْكُمْ مَنْ يُرَدُّ إِلَىٰ أَرْذَلِ الْأُمَرِ لِكَيْ لَا يَعْلَمَ مِنْ بَعْدِ عِلْمٍ شَيْئًا. Allah says there are some of you, when you grow very old, will take you to the limits of old age and you become very feeble. Your mind becomes very feeble until you are not able to capture what you knew before. So you find out that there are so many elements in relation to this mental health which we should try as much as possible to get over. Now, how do we get over them? How do we try to cure them? There are various ways. There are mainly two dealing with mental health issues, especially this week. We should reflect over these. The first one I want to talk about is the issue of stigma. We require two ways, two things. We should avoid and abandon stigmatization of people experiencing mental health issues. When you see somebody around you, I'm not saying that you should patronize them. Don't think that you are small children and you are doing something special for them. What we are saying is empathize with them, know what they are going through. Empathize with what they are going through. And know that you are in a similar situation. It's just a matter of degree. Your own is just at lower degree. They have gone to the higher degree and tipped over. So it's very, very important that we take the stigma away. You know, the Quran tells us that we should not, you know, be jestful of people. You don't know their situation with Allah, especially people who have mental health. Allah has overlooked them. You know, Asa, you don't know. An yakuna khayran minkum. You don't know whether they are better with Allah from you. So it's really very, very important that you don't stigmatize people. Don't give them bad names, especially in our different cultures. You know, I don't know about other cultures, but I know about Yoruba culture. The way what they call people who have mental health is very bad. The way they deal with them, the way the names they call them. If they see somebody, they call them certain names with, and the Quran tells us that you say, وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ بِئْسَ اسْمُ الْفُسُوقِ بَعْدَ الْإِيمَانِ. Don't call yourselves bad names, no matter what they are going through. Empathize with them. So it's really, really, really very, very important. That is the first thing. The second one is we should seek help. When you are okay, fine, look after yourself. When you feel that you are getting overloaded, give yourself a break. But those who know that they have mental health challenges, don't be shameful about it. Seek help. Seek help about it because it is real. Don't be in self-denial. You know, and you can seek help in 3 ways. As believers, dua, we believe in dua a lot. You know, the Prophet ﷺ, you have so many duas in which the Prophet Fasalullah al-Afiyah, the Prophet said, ask Allah for good health. Ask Allah when you pray that, oh Allah, give me good health. You know, so it's very, very important. If you are facing mental health challenges, pray. The Prophet has indicated after prayer as well, you should also seek clinical help. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, there is no ailment which Allah has created except that He has created a cure for it. Except if you hide it away. So you can also seek help clinically. You know, don't run away, don't hide it away. So it's really, really very, very important that we bear this in mind. Our minds are very, very delicate. You know, and we go through a lot of pressures in life. So within this week, you know, of mental health week, we should reflect over this. Think about yourselves and think about people who are around you and how you can help them. May Allah continue to strengthen our health. May Allah continue to give us good iman, and may you continue to direct us aright. Ibadallah, astaghfiru rabbakum innahu kana ghaffara. عباد الله إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. In the second part, I want to emphasize much more the way we deal with issues of mental health as believers. You know, remembering Allah, there are so many ways by which, you know, you put your mind at rest. You know, no matter what you are going through in life, leave it to Allah and remember Allah a lot, because Allah talks about the believers. Allah says, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنَّ قُلُوبَهُم بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. You know, zikrullah, remember Allah a lot. No matter what the problem, you leave it with Allah. Leave your problem with Allah and Allah will solve them. Remember, Allah says that Allah will test us with various things. But those who have patience and put their trust in Allah, when they say inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, Allah says that Allah will solve their problem. So you know, it's important that we remember Allah. Then secondly, socially we should also help ourselves, as I say. This is why we have community strength. We should be there for one another. We should be there for one another. In this country, loneliness can affect you. You know, there are some people who are introverts. You know, we are not saying everybody. Some people don't suffer loneliness at all. Even they like to be on their own. There are some people, they get strength from being on their own. They are introverts. But generally, a lot of people are extroverts. You know, when they are on their own, you know, they start thinking in various bad ways. And when you have people you have not seen for a long time, call them. Call them. You have children, you have family. Call. I mean, and this is why I think that, having this type of weeks is important. You know, I have children here, but I live alone with my wife. One of my children is in Bristol, one lives in London, very far away. But when I was aware that, well, this week is mental health week, I called them on Monday, greeting them. On Tuesday, I called them. I said, but you called us yesterday. I said, well, I know what I'm doing. So yes, I called you yesterday. Children, sometimes he was even blaming me that, why are you calling me all the time? He said, but you called me yesterday. I said, well, fine. This is mental health week. I'm just calling you to socialize with you, And then Wednesday, I didn't call. I called him again on Thursday. He said, you are calling me because of mental health. I said, yes. But it's important that we do that. Call people. Talk to them, because human beings are social animals, and because the Prophet has said, Al-Mu'min lil-Mu'min kabunyan. A believer to another believer, we are like, like walls, like buildings, brick walls. We help one another. The bricks hold onto one another, and that is how the wall is able to stand. So it's really very, very important for us to bear this in mind. I mentioned earlier, don't run away from clinical help. If you feel you need it, seek it. If you feel you need it, seek it. Because mental health is real. As believers, we need to connect with Allah and also to connect around us. And we need to be physically active. The physicians tell us that we should be physically active. What feeds your mind is part of your blood flow. They say we should exercise a lot of the time. Exercise is good. It lets the blood reaches your mind and it invigorates your mind. Walking around, they say we should walk at least 30 minutes every day or 5 days in a week. Make sure that you are active, and learn something new each day. Learning helps your brain. You are Muslims. Have a program that at least you want to memorize a new verse of the Quran. By training your mind to memorize, you are actually helping the brain. Don't put pressure on it. Just memorize one ayah every day and repeat it and repeat it. You do it another one tomorrow. By doing that, you are exercising your brain. And be nice to people. Psychologists have indicated this. They say one very good thing that can actually help your mental health is be nice to people. When you are good to people, when you give people, when you are, you have a sense of pleasure. Your mind is very happy. When you are very good to people, it gives you some sense of pleasure and it invigorates your mind. So give to others. And don't think too much about tomorrow. Pay attention on today. You live tomorrow to Allah. Live every day by the day. When you get to the bridge, don't think about the problem. How am I going to pay my house rent next month? You forget about that. When you get to that bridge, you will cross it. Just pray to Allah. Live the moment you are. And lastly, make sure that you sleep well. The medical people tell us that sleep is the vitality of the brain, and Allah has told us a lot about that. If you look in Surah Al-Furqan, هو الذي جعل لكم الليل لباسا والنوم سباتا. Allah says He has made the night a cover for you, and He has made sleep a succor for you. So don't deny yourself of sleep. Look, during the Battle of Badr, when the Muslim soldiers were under serious pressure, you know what Allah says to them in Surah Al-Anfal? إِذْ يُغَشِّيكُمُ النُّعَاسِ أَمَنَةً مِّنْهُ. Allah says we gave you drowsiness. Allah gave them sleep. Allah said we give them drowsiness. They went to sleep as a succor from us. And when they woke up, they became stronger. So a lot of the time, don't deny yourself of sleep. Sleep. When you want to sleep, sleep. Don't challenge yourself, no, I want to stay awake. No. So it's really very, very important, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. We should reflect over this. Reflect about people around you. Don't be too angry. Understand people. When people are behaving in a particular way, give them the benefit of the doubt. And we pray that Allah will continue to increase us in good health, and He will continue to also increase us in Iman. We have a few announcements. فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا شر ما قضيت فإنك سبحانك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك فإنه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأقم الصلاة. لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين قل يا أيها الذين هادوا